Welcome back at Rody. In this video we'll be talking about Robert Greene and his books. We will rate the books on ease of read, knowledge and practicality on a scale from 1 to 10.
I wanted to look at something kind of really underneath it all. Because the 48 Laws of Power, I'm looking at these games that people are playing in this kind of court-like atmosphere with all these politics going on.
Let's start to introduce Robert Greene, born in May 14, 1959. He's an American writer known for his books on strategy, power, and seduction. He has written over 6 international bestsellers: The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, 33 Strategies of War, The 50th Law with 50 Cent, Mastery, and Laws of Human Nature. Before becoming an author, Greene estimated that he worked 80 jobs, including a construction worker, translator, magazine editor, and a Hollywood movie writer. So how good were Robert Greene's books actually?
So for instance, on my first book, The 48 Laws of Power, I got to have dinner with the ex-president of Italy, the Signor Andreotti, who is perhaps one of the most Machiavellian politicians of our era. And then I got to have lunch with leading members of the Russian Duma, like Zhirinovsky.
The 48 Laws of Power, published in 1998 with over 1.2 million copies sold. The laws are made by an observation of facts through 3,000 years of history. Every law is divided into 3 parts. First, the transgression, which is what not to do. The observance, what to do, and how to reverse it and come back to it. The book is recognized and admired by world famous people like rappers, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and actors. Everybody has to deal with power in his life. As the book says, there are those who grab it and use power, and there are those who control by it. So it doesn't matter for what reason you should read this book, you will always be in contact with power. I would give this book a 9.5 for knowledge because the book is related to life. Ease of read gets a 7 out of 10 because of the almost 500 pages of reading material. It is a big chunk of work because there are a lot of historic figures in the book which are, in my opinion, not very well known to keep you going through the book. The practicality of this book, although I love the knowledge from this book, it really helped me to understand the work dynamics in relation to power. Greene wrote the book from history, and I'm missing the link to the 21st century. I do know that these laws are universal, but I understand that there are those who will be confused because of the big reach of history. So a 7 out of 10.
A soft power, because I maintain in the world today, if you're too direct, if you're too brutal and aggressive, you won't last very long. People won't like you. So we live in a world of soft power. It's in politics, it's in advertising, and it's in seduction. And seduction is a women invented seduction. There's no doubt about it. I describe.
The Art of Seduction was published in 2001 and is about romance and letting people fall under your spell. The book uses personalities like Cleopatra, Casanova, and John F. Kennedy. I would give this book a 7.5 for knowledge gained, although you can be sucked into the style of writing and the stories that he's telling, which are quite amusing. So for ease of read, he would get a 8. The tendency to fall for manipulation is a trap and a big turnoff for me. Personally, I'm a fan of focusing on yourself and improving that part of the world, than trying to use psychology to manipulate the world and fall for your tricks. The practicality of this book gets a big red number. I'm just not a fan of these advices, and I'm not saying that they are not true, but I believe it's more important to work on yourself and attract people naturally, instead of trying to manipulate the world around you. So a 4 out of 10.
Kind of spiritual warfare with your own human nature. And I talk about there in the first part of the book that you're at war with certain parts of your mind that constantly present obstacles. And you could know all of the strategies, you could have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't fight these mental habits, none of it's worth nothing.
The 33 Strategies of War was published in 2006, based on military strategies. Why was the book written? To deal with social conflicts like family, cartels, and business negotiations. This isn't so recognized by military authorities. They don't agree on the statement that war strategies are also applicable to life. I would give this book a 7 out of 10 for knowledge gained, although the book has its charm and strategy edge, which pleases me. At the same point, it comes a bit repetitive, and I felt like Robert was trying to fill up some pages to make the book thicker. I do believe that this book could have been written in a more joyful and efficient way. So sorry, Robert, but you get a 5 out of 10 for ease of read. It does hit some negotiation situations. The part of how to deal with your family is a bit silly. The reason that I picked up this book wasn't how to deal with my family. It does get a 6.5. I do believe that it is handy to know how attacking and defending strategies work.
It's not allowing you to create your value in the workspace.
The book is really based and recounts your experiences of hustling and selling drugs in Southside Queens.
To expand business.
50th Law. The first part of the video we talked about the 48 Laws of Power. 50 Cent is a great admirer of the work that Robert did. He came in contact with him and they created a fusion book between Robert's psychology and 50 Cent's psychology of the streets, where fearlessness is the only way to make it in this world. I would give this book a 6 out of 10 for knowledge gained. The lessons that he is giving are good but not insightful. There are some insightful things, but they cannot tip on the 48 Laws of Power. I've seen the movie Get Rich and Die Trying. After the movie, I really like 50 Cent his story and not just his music. So for ease of read, he gets a 9 out of 10. The practicality in the book is great though. I really felt motivated and I learned that taking action and being fearless towards your goal is so important. Love it. It cannot tip on the masterpiece 48 Laws of Power, but it was a great follow-up. So 8 out of 10 for practicality.
Most people have. You learn a trade, you learn it well, and you reach a point where somebody younger and cheaper can do what you can do, and you better believe that somebody younger and cheaper will take your place. So the game of life, if it is a game, the end game is to be irreplaceable. You're one of a kind. You're original. There's nobody who can replace you, just as there's nobody who can replace Leonardo da Vinci. There's no one else like Napoleon Bonaparte. There's no one else like Steve Jobs. I know these are huge figures that are larger than life, but even on smaller levels and people I deal with in the business world, I can generally say that if they're masters, there's nobody else that can take their place. And that is the ultimate position of power in this world, and that's what everybody in here should eventually aim at.
Mastery is a book of how to be successful. Greene uses people like Einstein and Mozart to show what mastery really is and how to get there, what it takes and what to sacrifice. The path to success are like each other, and he made the book to show what the universal way is to get there. I get it, it's a bit common sense for every man or woman who is practicing a craft or wants to get better in the skills that they are developing. Mastery is a great choice to start. I would give this book a 6 out of 10 for knowledge gained. I love Greene for his psychology writing and the psychological insights that he's given. Sometimes I also have the need to know who's behind the books. Robert seemed to know a lot, but nobody really seems to know Robert, and I do know that he was is a consultant on the side for companies. Maybe I would like to see something more personal from him, where he comes to mastery himself. So an 8 out of 10 here. Now, talking about a practical book, this is a great one. When you are struggling to get to great or you're hitting a plateau, mastery is the way to go. 9 out of 10.
So we're not that different from chimpanzees, but we're more complicated than that. But we have a nature. It came from millions of years of development. And there are certain parts of this nature that are pre-verbal and that I like to indicate. So for instance, just to choose one of them, and I'm going to answer your question in a minute, but choose one of them. We're a social animal. highly social animal. And that's what made us survive, and it's made us why we're here today.
The last book is The Laws of Human Nature. Laws of Human Nature is going into the behaviors of humans and their tendencies and pitfalls. He looks at the universal behavior patterns to guide towards a healthy behavior to benefit your life. For knowledge gain, this is a 9 out of 10. The thing is, with Laws of Human Nature, they are based on observations and psychology and not on facts. Sometimes you lose yourself a bit by questioning the book, and that makes the ease of read a bit lower, 7 out of 10. This book really makes you aware of everyday life and their biases by observing people and making you an observer of human nature. And you can really apply this in your own life. So for practicality, these books get a 8.5 out of 10. Thank you for listening, and I hope you like this video. Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.